I don't.
Gosh.
What are you
And a
talking
good
about?
evening to you, Ted Langell. We are here in Yuba Park in Marysville. We believe we're sitting here in the dark doing a special called Light Up the Park with Love. And we are here with Megan Anderson. Megan and several other people who happened to show up. We didn't know what was going to happen. She put this thing out on Facebook the other day, and so we got to chatting, and I thought, well, this could be an interesting live stream experience. I'm always into doing new things, so here we are doing new things, and new things with either live streaming or new things with conversing with people. We're here actually in Yuba Park. Let me get the right graphics up here so you know where we are. We're at 10th and Yuba Streets in Marysville, right by where Ramirez and Simpson Lane come together at East 10th Street. And so we've just been kind of chatting here. We waited to get a couple of different things going on. But again, this is Light Up the Park with Love, and I'm Ted Langell, and this is Megan Anderson. Megan, how did you get this idea?
So, first of all, hello Ted. Thank you for coming out tonight, and I wanted to just light up the park for humanity, and I noticed that there's been a lot of uncertainty going on online, and everybody's feeling some type of way about everything that's happening, and it just caused a stirring in my spirit, like it did before when we came out here 5 years ago in March. My spirit was stirred again because certain things weren't being addressed, certain topics weren't being um, brought up, and everyone is grieving in one way or another. Everyone is feeling the ramifications of everything that's going on in society right now. And I just felt like, with all the negative energy, maybe we can come together and bring some light energy into our realm, into our community, and actually sit down or stand here and have conversations with one another about the things that we want to see change, because the only way that we're going to be change in the world is if we do change here at home. It starts with ourselves. It starts with our inner selves. We have to work on our individual selves. It starts in your own home and the way you rear your children and the way you do life with your spouse. Then it goes out into your community, the way you represent yourself at your job, the way you represent yourself in your community. We have so many wonderful different projects and different things that are happening in our community, like, that you can volunteer for, and then there's so many other things that we can do as far as have a conversation with one another, and not try to put or each other on one side or the other. Like, everybody's trying to convert each other to one way or another, one way of their thinking, but no one's listening to the experience that person is having. Everyone, every single one of us is having a different human experience. Everybody's having a different American experience. Everybody's having a different experience in general, and we don't seem to understand that, or some of us do, and then some of us don't. And we need to come to a place where we're not trying to convert, we're not trying to pit one each other. Just listen to each other and say, "Hey, this is what's going on, and this is where I'm coming from. This is the experience that I am having. Can you see me now?" And this is the place that I'm coming from. I know that a lot of people see what I post on Facebook, and have a great following and all those things. Um, and I put the things on Facebook that I put on Facebook to challenge people, to get the conversations going, to engage people, because I understand that we are in a system that has done everyone wrong. And right now, the powers that be are trying to separate the classes. And by doing that, they're trying to make the rich richer and the poor poorer, the middle class out of here, just poor and rich. And in order for them to be successful at that, they want us to have civil war with one another. They want us to kill one another off of the bare necessities of life. And we should not fall for it. We don't need to fall for it. We need to sit down and have conversations with each other. We need to have formulate understanding. We need to educate ourselves and stop being so focused on this is the only way. This is the only way I know. I understand only knowing one way. I grew up as a Christian as a child into adulthood. And I remember my pastor telling me, don't look to the left and don't look to the right. And as I got older, I didn't understand if I don't look to the left or I don't look to the right, I will never see what's coming to me. When I started to emancipate myself, or the Spirit started to emancipate myself from religious practices, I started to understand life differently. I started to look at people differently. I started to look at myself differently. I realized I wasn't born in sin and made by iniquity. I was born in love, so finding out that some of the things in my life that was told to me as truth were no longer truth or was not the truth was startling. And I get that. I get that wholeheartedly. We get startled by what we don't know. We get startled by, think about kids who believe in Santa Claus. Children get told believe in Santa Claus, and then they get to a certain age and you say, oh, that dude ain't real. We've been buying you presents this whole time. That's startling for a child. So imagine being a grown adult and going throughout your whole life, which a lot of us are doing that, and just depending on everything that we were taught from childhood to this grown big age, and now we're being told, hey, there's some untruths in there. There's some things that we need to revise in there, and some things you need to relearn. It's startling, and it causes grief, it causes anger, it causes all the steps, but it's necessary. It's necessary.
So why do you think people are not having conversations?
I think people are comfortable with being angry. I think people are comfortable with how they think and they feel like that is the way to think. Like we said, like I just said before, it's very startling to learn new information, especially when you come to a certain age in life and everything that you have thought of works for you in the capacity in which you think it should work. You're successful in your life, successful in your job, successful in your relationships. You're successful in this way. So why would I think any different? Because this has worked for me. But at the same time, you're not considering that the path that you're on is not the path that other people are on, and they're not going through the same life experiences that you're going through. But because everything has worked for you in this way, you believe this is the way. And I think people get caught up in their own way versus seeing that there's several ways to all these different. If you and I, like we were talking the other day, if you and I, all five, six of us that are sitting out here, if we all decided to get up right now and go to LA, we might take different routes. We all might take different freeways. We're going to be in different cars. We're going to have different snacks. We're going to, there's going to be a whole bunch of differences. But we all have a final destination that we're trying to reach together. We all have the address that we're trying to get to. But we're going to take different ways because that you might not like the coastal way. I might not like the grapevine. But we're going to get there eventually. We're going to get there at whatever time that we said that we were going to get there, maybe a little before, maybe a little late, maybe right at the moment. But we are going to get there. It is not necessary for us to take the same exact path as each other. That's boring. That's boring. Life is not boring. We were made to do these different things. We were made to experience different things. If you didn't go to the coast, I don't know what's over there because I've never been there. So now you can share. Oh, Megan, I know you don't like the grapevine too much, but if you go the coast way, this is a nicer way, and I can either accept that or not. That's my choice. But Ted's not going to get mad at me for not choosing the way that he went. We have to stop getting mad at each other for not choosing the way that we go. I'm not mad at anybody because they chose not to come tonight. That was your choice. Those who came, came. And that's what I was prepared for. We were going to have conversations regardless. We were going to light up the park with love regardless because that was unction in my own spirit. And I stand on the business of what my spirit tells me. But I do not have any desire to convince anyone of what the truth is. The truth stands alone. And as you go through life, the truth reveals itself. It's up to you whether or not you want to accept
What do you think people, what's keeping them from talking? We were talking about fear.
it. Right.
and false evidence appearing real.
Yes, and I love that. I love that, and that's what it is. It's fear. We get so inundated with the media. The media is our worst enemy. Like the media is one of our biggest enemies.
Brutal.
Yes, it's brutal. Media started so long ago with propaganda and with, pitting us against one another, telling us, back in the day, media said that I was 3/5 less than human. Back in the day, the media said that we were livestock. That was legal to say. That was allowed to say. You know, um, the media told you that there were groups of people that were savages and that it was okay for us to do what we were doing. History is absolutely repeating itself because the media once again is telling us that groups of people are savages and murderers and this and that and all these things, and we are believing it again.
Well, you and I were talking about having conversations, sometimes difficult ones. Difficult, not that the talking or is an issue or getting together to do that. It may be if people are afraid of each other, and I
Yes.
think there's a lot of that that happens in communities.
Yes.
I've run into that myself.
Yes.
You know,
Absolutely.
I am. It's a cultural thing, and we don't necessarily feel comfortable with somebody else's culture.
Right.
And we have a lot of cultures here in Yuba-Sutter, which is an interesting situation to be in,
Yeah.
but we don't often connect
No.
on a cultural level.
And that's very true.
We go to somebody's Indian restaurant, we like Indian food, but do we interact with a lot of Indian or Punjabi or folks from that part of Southwest Asia, I guess you would call it?
Yes. Yes.
Um, it and there's not a great deal of interaction between black cultures, white cultures, Mexican cultures. The majority culture seems to want everybody to assimilate, and some do, uh, and some maintain culture over a period of time, and some get accepted. But there's still a certain amount of distance that seems to get kept.
Yeah.
And I say false evidence appearing real.
Yeah.
Um, and that certainly has been happening a lot lately.
Yeah.
If you look at what is coming through social media, what people are posting, what they believe, and what they repost without checking the facts, and
Right.
that's something that annoys the heck out of me.
Yes.
I've been in the news business, and I went to great lengths to try to make sure that what I was reporting was an accurate rendition of what someone said,
Exactly.
and also tried to gather context. And I think that's one of the biggest things that's missing is the context. People want to believe what they want to believe, and the more you try to convince them of something else, or at least present evidence, the harder they dig in their heels,
Yes.
and the more they start to throw more
Stones.
spaghetti back at the wall behind you, hoping some will stick on you. I
Yes.
don't know. It
Yes.
just
And I love that because I started out in journalism writing for the Territorial Dispatch.
really,
And yes, I wrote for them for a few years and I was deemed an intern on fire within a few weeks as I was accumulating so many articles and it was a wonderful thing. But one of the things that I was hell bent on was quoting people correctly. So I recorded every single one of my
yep,
interviews because I had been interviewed several times and then read the article and it was a paraphrase of my quote. And I said, that ain't even what I said, honey. And so I just knew that I wanted to be an honest journalist. I wanted to be honest about whatever was said. And I wanted the person that read the article to say, oh, that's absolutely what I said. That's my words verbatim.
yep.
And we have a lot of cutting and splicing that's going on right now. We have a lot of editing that's going on. And then we have some things that are being shown in full context and the proof is in the pudding and people are still in denial about what is being said. And that's frustrating for communities that are asking for a listening ear or asking to be heard and seen, who are asking to have some type of understanding and empathy for what they're going through, and not just it just shown over here because we don't all look and practice the same religion. We don't look the same. We're not in the same class or all these different things. It's just exhausting for some of us. But the fear is absolutely what keeps these conversations from happening, because people are so used to just saying, putting some nifty post on a Facebook post and starting starting an argument, and everybody's arguing on there. But then when you see each other in public, it's just like, oh yeah, hi, or oh, that was just Facebook. I didn't mean that. We're in a really big. I didn't mean what. That's not what I meant to say, or that was not the intention of what I said, or things like that. And I'm like, okay, when are we going to get to the place where we say what we mean and mean what we say? So yeah.
Yep. I'd like to acknowledge the fact that Tim Marquardt has been watching here. We've got a number of people watching. Beverly Blakemore watching. Christopher Capono Alma, I'll get it right, Almadova.
Very good.
And I'm sorry, Christopher, for kind of mangling the pronunciation of your name, but the type is very small, and I'm getting to be older. I don't necessarily like that idea, but it's inevitable, inescapable, and I'm trying to learn how to do that.
It's a blessing, though. A lot of people don't get to where we are, and so if you look at it, I think if we look at everything from a positive angle, and it's so easy for us to we live in a negative world, so looking at things negatively is easy, and oftentimes we get caught up in the aches and pains of life and don't see the beauty. There's beauty in the gray on your beard. There's beauty in the thought process that you have and the wisdom that you carry, and there's beauty in the wrinkles. There's beauty in, because that shows you have been here, like the rings on a tree, honey. We that shows there's proof that there's growth there. And so I think that it's wonderful that you are aging gracefully, and I say that because you are you're still growing, and I know that from the conversations that we're having, and you're still willing to grow.
Gracefully,
Yeah, honey, it looks graceful to me. But let me acknowledge the people on my side. Hello, you guys. My
okay.
husband and my best friend, and Ailey. Oh, honey, I cannot say your last name, but I know exactly who you are, and I love you.
So we actually have an interesting thing going on here. There's a gimbal with Megan's camera on it,
Yeah.
and she's live streaming
Can you
to
put it to Ted
her
so we can
folks.
see him?
Hi, people. I'm Ted Langdell. I'm doing horizontal. She's doing vertical. You know, whatever floats our collective boats.
I love it. Perfect.
So who are the ladies that we're sitting with here next to you?
Okay, don't put her on. She don't want to be on. Oh, do you want to? Okay.
No, I mean,
This is Leticia and her beautiful daughter. What's your name, baby girl? Kiana. And then Emma is back there. Everybody
Hi,
knows
Emma.
Emma. Yep. And then
She wanted to
my
sit in
son
the
is
dark
over
and
there.
just watch.
Yeah.
But now you're live streaming on
Hello.
Yuba-Sutter.live.
Thank you, Ted.
So while we have an opportunity, let's just kind of recap a little bit about what we're doing here.
Okay.
If you just joined us, you're watching Light the Park with Love. And this was an idea that Megan Anderson here that we're talking with had to occur in Yuba Park, which is at East 10th and Ramirez, East 10th and Yuba Streets,
Where we had
right where
Juneteenth.
Simpson Lane comes down over the levee and into Marysville. What is the significance of this park? It's Yuba Square.
Yeah.
But something happened here in the 1800s and the 1860s that's important to the black culture in this area as well as the United States.
So this was an emancipation park. Emma's better at this story than I am, but from what I know, if you want to talk about it, you can. Okay. But absolutely, the emancipations were announced here, so families would come and find out about their family member being freed from slavery, obviously, and they would. This is where they congregated. So the announcements of freedom, right?
Yeah, like so. It was just a couple years after the Civil War ended. the city of Marysville hosted a Freedom Day, and people started coming like every year in January. They would come from all over America, and they would come and gather right here in town and to find out where their families are. Everybody's scattered out.
Dispersed.
So yeah, they did the whole Donner Pass, or whatever. They
Wow.
came over, but every year they would meet here in the park
And find out where their
and
family.
find out what was going on with everyone.
So after they dispersed from slavery, this is where they would come to find out where their family was located.
And then it was in like the late 50s, early 60s when they started doing Juneteenth here in the park, right?
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure the date when.
Yeah, I'm not sure the year, but
I know it was in the 70s for sure.
Right,
I'm learning so much right now.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
had no idea.
There's so much history to
There's
this
a lot
park.
of history.
I know Marysville
You're
has a lot
right.
of
And
history, but I
Marysville,
had no
period.
idea
Yeah.
about this park. And
Yeah.
it's actually, wow, now I can talk to my kids.
Yeah,
and
like,
see
and
that's how.
Yeah.
There's a whole like from the book that they explain the whole day, the ceremony they had here. Tell
Okay.
spoke, and it went with I found news articles. I was like, really?
Yeah.
So I went and I found news articles from Sacramento about Marysville, about when it was all going down.
Yeah.
It was
It's
wow.
a very significant
Wow.
park for us.
Pamela Johnson, thank you for dropping in here and watching. If anybody has questions, you can put them in the text in the chat. We'll go ahead and try to figure out how to deal with all of that. You can simply relay that kind of information.
And you guys feel free to jump in anytime you want to.
Sure. So tell us a little bit about your arrival in Marysville.
My arrival as okay, so I was I was kind of raised in this area down Feather River Boulevard, and then we left. We went up to Minnesota County, my whole family, and then we came back, and we've been here ever since. And my children actually have been raised here as well. I'm here because I believe in a lot of the same things that Megan does. I do follow her. I'm not familiar with everybody else at the table, but I do follow her because I know that like she has a lot of ideas, a lot of opinions, a lot of I guess you can say goals, passion. And she's basically trying to be the voice and fight for the same things we are, except for in different experiences. In my case, I'm here because a lot of the Latino community, um, anywhere in Latin America, I guess, coming from anywhere, they come here a lot and they do agricultural work. They work hard, they do things for our community, they contribute to our economy here, but they're being persecuted, literally persecuted. I call that, that's what I call it. And so a lot of them are fearful, they're scared to speak up. Because they could be deported or sent to detention camp, or so for me being here is really important because I feel like I don't have those fears. I'm generationally, I'm a U.S. citizen, and I don't have the same fears they do, but I definitely have the same goals and the same passion, and I feel like advocating for them is important to me, and I think we all have, what is that? We should all be doing the same thing.
Yeah. Advocating for each
Advocating
other.
for people, and they are fearful. So that's why I'm
And
here.
that
Do you feel the need as a U.S. citizen to carry a passport or something that documents your citizenship?
Yes. I was just talking to my brother about that. My brother drives truck. He goes, the rigs, the big rigs. He drives. He's a trucker. And the other day I was asking him. I said, "Are you ever afraid of being pulled over?" And he said, "No, I carry my ID. I carry my birth certificate. I carry, just basically
all his
documents." And I'm just, it's like, and this is where the fear comes in, not knowing what you can and can't say. But I feel like, when people had to wear the star on it,
There's your papers.
there's your papers, and there's that's who you are, your identity, and that's how you're being seen or looked at. And I feel like, why should I have to carry all that? I should carry an ID just like everybody else, but the fact of it is, we're living in different times, and things that are happening, it's moving fast, and it's really terrifying, to be honest, because we don't know where we're going to be in 5 years, 10 years. I have conversations with my kids every single day, and it terrifies me. And because I'm brown, because I fit in with the Latino community, if I speak Spanish, then am I going to be targeted? If I go to a Home Depot, am I going to be picked up? Am I gonna, it's just, it's sad. It's sad to have to, that we live in times where we have to carry documentation everywhere we go, just in case. And then I gave my sisters my copies of my documentation in case, because you never know, so it's just,
Freedom
we live
doesn't
in
seem
a,
very free right
it
now.
doesn't, it doesn't. So that's kind of why I'm here. So, and I love Megan.
I love you too.
Do many other people that you know or people in your family, are they concerned about getting stopped by ICE? Or
Yeah, the other day I had a family emergency where I had to call EMS, but I had to pull over on a bypass. It was my sister's asthma, and two police vehicles pulled up, and followed by a CHP, followed by another one. I started feeling so much anxiety, not because I was doing anything wrong, but because some of the questions they were asking felt so interesting. Like, I'm here for my sister.
Off
I'm just,
topic.
yeah, it's just, I mean, this is not why we're here.
Yeah,
Yeah, so it was kind of fearful, and I don't think I've ever felt that much fear, even though I am a U.S. citizen, but
Yeah.
I'm brown. So it's sad. It's a sad time we live in, and just calling for emergency services, it was just kind of terrifying. Cause I'm like, why are all these cops here?
Yes, exactly.
So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Tamara York is watching. Thank you for dropping in case you're new and wondering what's going on here. We're sitting here in a park in Marysville, California. This is a park that has some history for a variety of cultures. It is one of Marysville's larger parks. It's not the biggest one, Beckworth Riverfront Park, and that has its own history, the name of Beckworth. But Beckworth Riverfront Park is the biggest one along the Feather River. But this is one of the larger ones, and has been subject to some controversy back when there was an attempt to develop it, probably 20, 30 years ago. But it has a history for the black culture, but it also has a history for other people. We're sort of at the southwestern end of the part of East Marysville that's called Schimpfville. And that was because a man and wife with German background, uh, Joseph and Mary Schimpf, acquired either control of or bought property that basically went from down here up towards Marysville High School and east. I'm not sure how far east, but they had quite a sizable part of East Marysville, or what became East Marysville, and the locals called it Schimpfville.
Wow.
And I learned about this because it popped up when I was looking for something else on social media, or actually the internet. So Schimpfville, she lived up basically either East 12th and Sweezy Street, or East 11th and Sweezy Street. I've seen different references to that. So she lives across the street, or lived a block away from where I live now. So I kind of make reference to Schimpfville from time to time, just because, little Marysville history. But, what has it been like growing up this area? And one of the things that I like to find out about from people is if they grew up here and left, why did they leave and why did they come back? And what keeps you here?
Okay. So growing up here, when it started, I think I left probably about right before first grade. The reason we left is because my my parents moved us. I think they were following work. There was more jobs available up north in Mendocino County. There was a job available for my dad, so he just kind of picked us up and left. So that really wasn't my choice. My choice to come back was because my family had come back, and so I was kind of left up in Mendocino County. I came back because I have a lot of family here, generational, and we grew up. Our family's really close. We grew up having Saturday breakfast, Sunday dinner, celebrating all the kids in the family's birthdays. Just every holiday you can think of. So we get together 4 or 5 times a week. We have a very large family, and I've always loved the family environment, the bonding, the kids growing up together, my kids growing up with my sister's kids. They're very close, all of them, and so family has always been really important to us. So I think coming back was important to us because the majority of our family was here, and so that's really the reason we came back. Staying here, I do like this area. I feel like there should be more opportunities for us here. There's not enough things for the kids to do, and employment wise, there's the regular options, but not a lot of options. But I mean, I still like, and I love this area actually. I want my kids to grow up here, but I also want them to find their own way, their own path in life. So if that one of my daughters, she ended up in Southern California. She loves it out there. I was terrified for her to be out there, especially right now with all the LA protests and all the raids going on and all that. So she actually came home. She's been with me since it's been about 4 years or 4 months now, and so I feel a lot safer that way. I feel my kids are close to me. It's safe that way. But that's the reason we left and the reason we came back. But I love Marysville. I think it's a great place, but a lot of things have to change. We have to have changes. And
one of the things that Megan and I were talking about was that there's a lot of good stuff and good people here from all different walks of life, and people come here because there's something that attracts them. What specific things attracted you back, aside from family?
Aside from family, let me think. I there are certain areas that I like more than others, of course. For example, East Marysville. I love East Marysville. I feel like, although lately you can see more police presence, I feel like it is safer. A lot of the schools are closer to each other. The kids could walk to school how we used to. Um, I feel like it's a safer environment. Um, if we're talking about just Marysville, I love Ellis Lake. We used to go to 4th of July fireworks shows there. We'd sit around the lake and have the fireworks shows there. The carnival that was across the street.
Yeah,
Were you here?
I was.
The carnival was always across the street. There's just a lot of history here.
Yeah.
Growing up here, it brought me back. I do love it. I love the area, to be honest.
See, I'm from Southern California. I moved here in '95 because my parents brought me here, and I moved here in the middle of 8th grade, and let me tell you what, I was culture shocked as hell coming from LA, and my parents lied and said we was moving to Sacramento, and they lied, and I said, wait a minute, we passed Sacramento. So, oh, we're going to Marysville. I said, where is Marysville?
Right.
And so
There we are. We're back. The mic said we're going to take a break.
yeah. So anyhow, I moved here with them. Ministry brought us here. Like I shared before, I grew up in Christianity. Both my parents were ministers. In Southern California, we fed the homeless, and we had a ministry called We Care Ministries. We moved up here because of that. And
I didn't know that about you.
Yes, yes. So we came up here and we joined a ministry that we were. Oh, it went off again, Ted.
Well, you know what? That's why we have
Back up.
another one. So we're going to see if we can get this one. I routinely charge them, but sometimes they don't always
take the charge because mine didn't either. Because mine went dead.
Okay, well, this is why you have backup. Plan A, Plan B. So plug that one in.
The one he was standing in the dark.
Yeah. That's my son. He's my bodyguard.
Okay, now we'll pull this one out.
We're working on our mic shot.
Technical stuff here. We'll give you a little. We can turn this up, testing. I think that's working.
Okay, great.
There we go.
So anyhow, just to kind of pick up where I was, but yeah, we came here because of ministry. I did everything you can think of in ministry. I was one of those kids that was in church Sunday through Saturday. You could catch me at a football game, but you didn't catch me at too many parties. Yeah. I was the girl trying to save you and get you delivered to Jesus, honey. I did dance ministry, the youth ministry. I was a youth leader at 16. I was a direction of choir at 16. I, I, I lived, ate, and breathed word and
Oh,
and
whoops.
Christianity.
Well, now you're on camera saying that.
Okay.
Otherwise, people are looking at me. This is known as, like I said earlier, you have one brain and it tends
And
to
you're
kind
trying
of
to
do
do a lot
things.
of things. I mean,
But
it's not just,
this is live, and this is an example of life.
exactly.
Camera York watching. We still have several people here. We're happy to have you watching, and we're glad that you're listening. If you got some questions or you want to jump into the conversation here,
Please do.
you can certainly throw us some words in the text there. Um, that's something else you and I were talking about. Words. I was trying to write a haiku, and I wrote a poem called Words. We use too many. Some thoughts needn't any.
I like that actually.
That's clock it. Very, very
But,
good.
but this is what we can do. We can go get some people that have never met each other before, or have only a passing experience,
Yeah.
and sit down and have a conversation, because many of us may like the same kind of beverages, or we may like certain kinds of food, or we may like a particular place, or other things that are in common. And I think if we were to more frequently engage in conversations like this, that we could have a very good time, and we could have a better understanding. And that's, I think, what's missing in a lot of this cacophony
Good word.
that's going on.
Cacophony. I mean, it's a
I know.
cacophony. I
Cacophony.
like that.
I gotta look it up.
I went down a rabbit hole, and that one happened to pop up.
I like that one. Cacophony. Google that.
A rabbit hole of cacophony. Yes. Well, and if you do that, you will find the synonym, or the antonym, the opposite of that, which is, uh, I'd have to look at it because I take notes on all this stuff, but I would, it's in a musical sense, it's harmony, it's being more positive.
Okay. It's
And
me.
well, you know,
I'm just kidding. I
so
left him speechless.
What the hell?
I left him speechless. I'm sorry, Ted.
oh, don't be sorry. We're having too much fun.
I love it. But this is great. This is what we want. That we want to be able to sit here. You have a Creole woman, a Caucasian man, Latino women, Caucasian woman. We're all
No, I'm
sitting
more
here.
than that.
Oh well,
I'm a mixy.
we have a mixy mixy, and I'm sure we all have more in us than what we're identifying with. But the bottom line is, we're sitting here and we're having these conversations that seem to be hard in other places. I don't need to debate you. I don't want to sit here and argue back and forth that my point is better than your point. No, I just want to share that this is the experience that I'm having. These are the things that bother me. These are the things that I would like to see. These are the changes that I think we should go into. And then we share these ideas and say, oh, okay, so you do want the same thing I do. You're just saying it different than I am. Because at the end of the day, that's what we want. We want to be able to raise our families healthily and whole. We want to be able to pass on generational wealth to our children. We want to be able to send our kids in safe schools. We want to be able to buy groceries and not have to choose over rent or groceries. We want to be able to live life, this so-called dream that they have told us about. It just has not been afforded to everyone. And everyone is, and then but people say, well, you have the same opportunities I do. Well, not all the time.
Debatable.
That's debatable. My experience shows other. Am I take nothing from anyone being able to fend for themselves and do for themselves. Of course we all can make a way for ourselves. Of course we can do that. But there's sometimes the way there is a lot harder for others than it is for other people. And I think just acknowledging that fact that we all didn't come from tuitions and trust funds and things like that, that some of us are living harder lives. But does that mean that we love life any less? You know, does that mean that we want any less from life? No, it just means that we might need some help along the way. We might need more community support. We might need more conversation, more education, more. There's no financial education in schools. No one knows how to balance their checkbook correctly. No one knows
I
how
think
what
they have
credit,
checkbooks
how
anymore.
exactly how credit.
Their app.
Yeah, you use your app now, so you don't have to deal
Yeah.
with that
They
anymore.
certainly weren't doing that back when I was in
No,
grade school or in high
I
school, and
learned
that was in the
from
70s.
I learned finances from parents who were ill financiers. Do you get that? Okay. So I was passed on bad finance habits by people who had them because that's what they were taught.
Yeah.
And we have this generational cycles because none of us, we're not
And those are the
cursed.
changes we want to
Okay.
make.
And these are
To
the
leave.
changes that we need to make is the
Yeah.
education needs to be practical. Like literally, it needs to be practical. It needs to be honest. The fact that we don't want to talk about the things that have gone on in history when we are literally repeating history is diabolical in my brains.
Yeah.
And it really is because you have educated people acting as if they don't understand what we're saying, and that baffles me. You have people who have degrees or who are teachers and just in doctors, lawyers, whatever, literally looking us in our faces and telling us, I don't see what you see. I don't understand what you're saying, and I'm saying, but there's books
Like, how
on
could
this.
you
There's
not?
there's like
Are we
you've
living?
lived
Are we living in the same world?
yes,
Are
like
we
how
on
do you not know this? When I took my
Yeah.
ethnic studies class at the college because I graduated from Yuba College in May. Got my degree in mass communications, just so everybody will know if I have any type of education. I do. But in my ethnic studies class, it literally broke down the whole entire system and how we got to the place that we are. And seeing it that clear was just so eye opening. It's like, oh wow, there's really a pathological way to this. Like there's a pathology to this, not pathological. There's a pathology to this, and we got here in a certain pathway of this of how it's been set up for us. And in some parts of the class, there were people who really had no idea and were completely astonished by this knowledge. And then there was those of us who are experiencing this knowledge. So it was a wonderful give and take in this class. We were able to give and take from each other and receive and really hear one another. And it was a safe space. And we were allowed to talk about the institution. It's not about any one race. All of us as the human race are in trouble with these people because they don't care about, at the end of the day, the infrastructure of race is man's doing. It's the census that started out. Please read about it. The census is what got us to black and white. Okay, and the reason that they wanted to show the sign of superiority over the rest of us, and it's worked thus far.
They just want to keep us divided.
Exactly. So now we're so far from the nature of how we got here that we're fighting against each other because I'm black and you're white and I don't hear you and you don't hear me and I'm Muslim, you're Christian, and I don't care what you're talking about. It's just
Well, two things. We all came from the same place, mom.
yes,
I love that. Yeah, and it's
exactly.
correct.
And we all have a mama.
We all have a mama.
Yeah,
Some did better at it than others for
exactly.
whatever reasons that go back maybe a couple of generations of how they were brought up and all.
Yes.
But we all came from mom. And the other thing is that I think because of what we have been told or what we have heard or how we have limited for whatever reasons, maybe we didn't know that there was more to learn or more places you could go get information. But we don't know what we don't know, and we don't go after more information, more context. If I said Chicago, what comes to mind?
Pizza.
Okay.
The Bears.
What comes to mind for you?
Chicago,
Chicago.
a place that I have never been to.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
have no idea. I've never. I have a friend who has. I have a friend who goes there. I
Hey.
have a friend who goes to Chicago once or twice a
Somebody's
year, but that's
somebody's
it.
happy in Marysville.
Stop by.
Yeah, yeah.
I have no idea. I don't know Chicago. I don't know.
Well, if you're asking me, like, what do I think about what's right now?
Oh, what's going on with it?
Yeah,
Okay.
if that's how you're asking me,
Maybe
And I
the
think you just
question
want
I
to know,
should
like,
have asked
he
is,
just
oh,
said something to you, like, what do you see in your head? It's not the same
so
thing.
when I think of Chicago, initially, I know I said pizza, but when I think of Chicago, I think of the people. I think of Black people. I think of the shy. I think of the urban communities. I think um, of the culture that's in Chicago, the music that's come out of Chicago, the uh, just different people. Um, yeah, I think of the people, and then there's so much. I've never been to Chicago, so I
Me
couldn't
either.
tell you firsthand experience from that. But what I've seen in shows and things like that, um, I think of the people. I think of the urban earthiness of Chicago.
is there anything associated with Chicago that makes you fearful?
No, because I know that they have a very high, at least it's been reported that their murder rate is extremely high and all those things. But I know, I think that they tell us those things, so we are fearful and don't visit these places. So I don't have fear in that regard. I would love to, I want to visit all the states.
Yeah.
So for me, I don't carry that fear because especially off of what media says. I mean, I don't carry that fear. I stopped watching the news in digest for a while now, and I just realized watching the news every single day was giving me anxiety, giving my children
Yes.
anxiety. Literally, my daughter would say, "Mom, do we have to watch the news every morning?
Yeah.
It's so scary."
It
And
becomes
I'm
too
like,
stressful
"Oh,
sometimes.
baby, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I do not intend to say. When I take my kids to school, we are rapping and singing, okay?"
All the way to
You
school
know,
and down my house.
yes,
Yeah.
and that is smart. That
My
is smart
grandma
as hell.
did
But
that.
no,
Yeah.
when I hear Chicago, I don't think of fear. No.
Okay.
Politically, I think about the stuff in the news,
Hmm.
the arrests going on, happening, um, our administration sending in the military to different big cities,
Yeah.
and it seems to be cities that are have huge populations of minority people of
Hmm.
color,
Black and brown
black
people.
and brown, yeah, and it seems like that's basically the only thing I think of because I don't know. I've never been there. I don't know the people. I don't know anything really about Chicago, but I've heard it in the news a lot lately, and like you said, my kids also tell me like that's all you do all day. You listen to the news, and I'm like, I just need to keep up because things are moving so fast,
Yeah,
and
but
I feel like I just need to keep up. So it becomes
and
sometimes I have to disconnect because
and you
it's
have to
hard.
because at the
Yeah,
end of the day, they're gonna do what they're gonna do,
yeah,
and we have to, and that's where the spirit comes in, because we have to realize that we're all exactly where we're supposed to be, and we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. But the thing that we really need to be doing is putting all that energy into ourselves and healing the parts of ourselves that will get us to the path of making the change without, like how we
yeah.
were saying earlier, in order to see actual real change, it starts at home. It starts with self,
Stuff
then
at
it
the
starts with
table right
home.
here,
Exactly.
right
Then
here,
it goes out
having
into the
conversations.
community, and from the community, it goes out into the world.
Yeah,
If we can build a community based on love, understanding, sympathy, empathy, however you want to call it, compassion, um, that will invoke actual real change. If we get out there and start volunteering in
yeah,
the groups like Say Love and Be Extra and all the different groups that are actually doing community work,
The
uh,
food bank.
the food
yes,
bank, all the different, I don't know all the names, so please forgive me, but you guys know what's out there, and if you don't, we need to make it more evident of what's out there so people can get involved. We have to get to a point where we stop thinking that's not my problem.
right.
Most of us are literally 3 paychecks away from being homeless versus 3 paychecks away from being a billionaire.
Everybody's
You know what I'm saying? So we are all closer to being out on the street And a lot of people argue, well, I'm fine. Well, I'm fine too in that regard. But the reality is that just like in 2008 when the economy fell and nobody necessarily saw it coming except for the people that saw it coming, yeah, it was devastating. I remember it being drastically changing for my family and I. My husband was in a wonderful job. We had just had our second baby, and I was in a place where I could be a stay-at-home mom. And then the economy fell, and he lost his beautiful job, and we found ourselves not being able to rub two pennies together at that moment. Not because we weren't capable of working, there was no work to be found. There was nothing for us to do at that time. So we went and we got on welfare. But you know what about welfare? There are programs in welfare. And I think this is not talked about enough. So from my personal experience, my husband and I were on welfare for a time. And during that time, they offered us classes. And in these classes, we got job training. We got to learn how to do our resume interviews. Now these are things that we already had experience doing because we had been working for years. But it refreshed us. It gave us new education, gave us new information because things, like you said, are changing. So the way that we did our interviews and things 10 years prior to that was not what we were doing now. So now they're telling us what we're doing now. So we're taking the classes, and there's a couple across the street from us, and it's a white couple. And the only reason why I say their race is because everyone is so hell bent on, well, what did they look like and what do you look like, and what the welfare system looks like. We were all on welfare at this time. Basically, in 2008, everybody was on welfare damn near. Okay, there was millionaires sitting in our classes that had boats and lost homes and all those things. Okay, so we're talking with them, and they tell us, oh, don't take those classes. You're only going to get sanctioned a little bit of money. And we looked at them and said, we need every damn dime we're getting. This is paying our rent. This is paying whatever it was doing. It literally only was paying our rent, to be honest. Okay. And we had our food stamps, and that was how we were surviving. Thankfully, my parents were helpful to us at that time, and we were going to school. We decided to go to school. We went to the college together. My husband got a certificate of completion in welding. I started writing from that. I got the job at the internship at the territorial dispatch. There was a time that we were on Section 8. In Section 8, there's a program here in Marysville, at least there was then, that if you tapped out of your sources where you could not, you no longer qualify for Section 8, they saved money for you. I bet you've never heard this.
No, I never.
But they will save money for you. The money that they were going to put towards your rent, they saved it for us. And when we graduated, have you ever heard of anybody graduating from Section 8?
No.
We did. We graduated from Section 8 and received a plaque and was given $2,500 of the money that they saved for us. But we went through these programs and we moved through the system. We didn't stay in the system. There is not everybody is just gouging the system. Some people actually need the help to get to point A to point B. It is hard out here. So I am a living testament. My husband and my children, you would never know. If I never told you this story, you would never know what we went through in 2008 and beyond. You would have never known that because looking at me, you wouldn't have known that I was on welfare. Looking at my life, you would have never known that. You would have just assumed that, but maybe you would have, and that would have been your. You would have been right, but you wouldn't have been. You would have been wrong if you thought that I just sat on my ass and received benefits, because that's not what me and my husband did. We were running to the bus stop every morning with our kids because we didn't have a car at the time. We were running to the bus stop to go catch the bus so we could be at the college, and our children were at the college too, because there was daycare provided at the college. So there is plenty of programs that we can utilize. But you guys are trying, not you guys, the powers that be are trying to strip these certain programs. There are plenty of people who have gone through these programs, but all we focus is in on the people that just stay on welfare and don't do anything else. That was a real help from our family. We've never been on welfare again since. We've never been on Section 8 again since. We've lived in the same house for 20 years. So please, when people say these programs are beneficial, they absolutely are. Is there some abuse that takes place? Absolutely. There's a negative and a positive and everything. Like my husband said, in order for a battery to work, you got to have a negative and a positive. Okay. I got you, Daddy. I see you on there. But you know what I'm saying? But that's the truth. In order for these things to work, you're going to have a negative and a positive. But two negatives, baby, make a positive. So I feel like we're going to flip things around here soon because we have been double negatives for a long time. And it's time for us to get onto the positive side of life. So that was just a little bit about me, Ted. Just a little bit.
Well, we're having a good time here, and I'd like to acknowledge that Colette Davies, who's teaching at, I think she's at Linda School now, teaching music, and Nina Skies has been watching here. We've had people popping in and out of this conversation, and we've been going on for about an hour here. I'm Ted Langdell, and you are watching Light the Park with Love. And we brought out some lights. We were hoping that people would show up and take their cell phones and light things up. I don't know exactly what we were going to experience here,
Yeah.
but we came out here to experience it, and this is what's going on. We're having conversations about conversations. We're having conversations about life. We're having conversations about difficult times and how to get out of them, how we can support each other in ways that don't necessarily cost any money, but may take a little bit of time. And we all have a bit of time.
We
You know,
do.
time
Yes. And
is
you
on
know,
my
I love
side.
conversations because I'm window queen, and then conversations is my thing. And I love having these conversations. I love hearing people's stories, and you know that's what started me in journalism. Was sitting there interviewing people and getting their story, and then being able to put that in paper and tell the story. And you know, I met some incredible people in that time, and a plethora of people, and varieties of backgrounds. You know, and that's the beautiful thing about being emancipated from certain thought processes because you can sit with anyone. If when I was a Christian, practicing Christian, and again, this is not persecution or anything towards Christian people. Honey, I lived my life well there, and I found myself within Christianity, and that was my path. So this is not speaking ill against anyone. This is my experience. But when I was a Christian, I noticed that I was very judgmental, not only to people but to myself. I didn't allow myself to have a human experience because I was inundated with the sin that I thought I was committing every single day just by breathing and walking out the door, you know. Um, so when certain thought processes started to leave from me, so did certain judgments, so did certain ideals of other people and how I can change them. At the end of the day, we can't change anyone but ourselves, and that should be our only goal: is to change enough into light where people want to follow your light, where people want to be transformed within your light. And if you can't handle the light that I bring forth, it's okay if you go for shade. I'm not for everyone, you know. And so um, at the end of the day, I think if we really focus in on how we become the change we want to see in the world, that's how we're going to affect change. But stop doing this and pointing at each other and saying, well, you need to change this and you need to think this way and you're left, right, this.
Well, that's more of the let's throw spaghetti kind of thing.
Yes.
And I have come to the conclusion that debates are not effective at getting certain kinds of information across because it seems like the idea of a debate is to throw my ideas at you and keep throwing my ideas at you until you either give up, walk out, or acquiesce, and you're going to go, okay, fine, I'll believe what you believe, or I'll do whatever you want to do.
Right.
I mean, obviously, there shouldn't be a debate about, your house is on fire, and it'd be a good idea to get the heck out of there.
But people will argue.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
I mean, there are some things that shouldn't necessarily be debatable.
Right. I mean, if my house is on fire and you live next door, I think you might want me to put it out. And that means we're all in danger, you know.
There we go.
And I think if we start looking like that, If my house is on fire, then that means your house is close to being on fire for neighbors.
You're right next
You,
to me.
you know what I'm saying? You're right next to me. And right now, people's houses are on fire. And a lot of people are not caring enough to put them out. They're just worried about, well, my house isn't on fire. Well, I live right next door to you, sir. And literally, grass is what keeps us apart. So eventually this fire may fall onto you. Bob Marley said, those who feel it know it. Those of us who are feeling this know what it feels like. And we're trying to express to those who don't know what it feels like, because there's a difference. There's people that are walking around here that don't know this. They're not experiencing this part of life. They really don't know. And their ignorance is their bliss, and that's okay. But at some point, you have to realize that there's
All
other
of us.
people around you that are having a different experience, and they may need you to put your water hose on once or twice. Like, come on, like, let's water the grass here. So
Speaking of that, the sprinklers just came on.
the sprinklers just
yeah,
came on.
so I don't know
Oh,
about.
did the sprinklers come on?
Yeah,
That's
they're
what
over
they
there on
say.
that
Are
side.
we being given a sign from?
I think it's like,
Is this the Universal Scheduling Department
Same time as that.
telling
Someone
us
trying to put out
it's
the
time to
fire.
wrap this up?
Right?
We were just talking about putting the fire out. Yes, the water came.
Well, this has been quite enjoyable. I enjoy conversing with people, learning about them, and I think it goes back to the history of how people passed on their culture. It was oral history, and you listen to storytellers. Some people became storytellers; they did that better than others. Um, Others, then we learned writing and we learned all these other things. But the choice of words, and I find, especially with people that I'm close to, that I don't choose my words perhaps more carefully.
Guilty. Oh,
I think we're all,
yeah.
I think we're all,
Guilty of that in some way.
and I have regretted some of the things that I've said. Also regretted some of the things I haven't said, in a whatever way that may have been. But just trying to, this learning how to communicate is something that we can learn how to do on a daily basis. And I find that I'll go get all fired up about something, and I'll go want to make a Facebook post, or I'm replying to somebody, and I will edit that sucker for maybe 3 or 4 times longer than it took to write it.
Yes.
And there are posts that I have decided, maybe that's not going to be
Exactly.
a good idea, because it's more like throwing gasoline on the fire.
Yes. Yes. I agree.
And I would hope that at some point that we can come up with some language that helps people realize that maybe that's what they're doing. How do we gently tell somebody, well, maybe that's a little bit more gasoline than you want to put on that fire?
So I'm going to go back to my husband and I, because that's my life experience, and I draw from my life. And so when we were getting to know each other and living with each other and all those things, our level of communication at sometimes was not the best. And it was frustrating for us. Everything else was fine, but we didn't know how to talk to each other at times. And we were coming to a threshold with one another and deciding if we wanted to continue our relationship. Now, we've been together for 24 years, happily married, all those good things, but this was at the beginning of our relationship. And, when you move in with somebody, you are absolutely learning them in a different capacity than when you're outside of the house,
Yeah.
And so I'm tripping over his shoes, he's tripping over my clothes, and we mad. So, but we we had to learn how to talk to one another. And so anyhow, we came to this place of crossroad. We came to a crossroad where we were trying to understand, how do we talk to each other? And my husband and I said we were not going to lay head to pillow until we came up with a way to speak to one another. And we took it back to kindergarten, and we said, okay, if you don't have nothing nice to say, don't say nothing at all. That was number one. And then The second thing we said to each other was, listen to the way you speak to me. Listen to the words you say out of your mouth and correct yourself. I don't want to be the one to correct you. You have to correct yourself. And so we became conscious, first of all, of the way we speak, the tone of voice that we were using, our body language, because some of y'all fail to believe that body language is a real language, and it truly is. You know, uh, you're saying that you're saying it nice, but you're coming off real aggressive. Okay, um, that we had to mindfully check all of those things. We had to look at all of those things, and when we got into certain conversations, we would have to say if one or the other would go into the tone that that triggers either one of us, we would correct ourselves. Okay, wait, I heard myself. My bad. Let me say that differently. Let me rephrase that for you. I'm not trying to come off in that tone, and I heard myself. Now, were we perfect at this all the time? No. But that's how we got to a place of better communication, was being accountable for our own actions, not trying to tell one or the other that they need to stop doing this and you need to stop doing that. We told each other what our triggers were. We told each other how we did not respond well to certain communication, and we told each other not to what our boundaries were. And then guess what? We respected that. We respected those boundaries. We listened to each other, and we listened to ourselves more than anything, and took accountability and responsibility about the way we reacted or responded. Oftentimes, we are in a place of reaction versus response. I come from a place of response. I came from a place of reaction because, like you were sharing,
Exactly.
hopping on,
Reaction.
yes, hopping on Facebook real quick and saying some heated shit, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm about to, and then going, oh man, why did I do that?
Go back and
Because
delete it.
yes, or leave it there and let it
Edit.
explode, or
Yeah.
and then I'm exhausted after all these exasperating encounters with people arguing back and forth. I'm like, I'm so drained. Why did I even do that?
I find that I
You
hold my
know.
breath. I'm like,
So now when now exactly now I'm in a place of responsiveness, and right now our society is reactive. And we have to get to a place where we're responding to one another and we're listening. And only way we can respond is actually listening, hearing, and comprehending what is being said. Because communication has to have comprehension. It doesn't matter what I say out of my mouth if you don't comprehend it. And so if we have to get to that space where we're hearing, listening, comprehending, communicating, and responding versus reacting on each other.
And respecting.
And respecting, absolutely. Well, with all of those things comes that. And that's why I leave my life with love. Because if I love you, I'm going to respect what you have to say out of your mouth. If I love you, I don't have to know you to love you. We're part of the human race. And I was built in love. So if I love you, I'm going to want to hear what your experience is. And I'm going to respect that what you say is true. And I'm going to comprehend that. And if I don't, I'm going to ask for more so I can understand it to a degree where I do comprehend, and not just leave it at a space where, well, I don't get that. So, oh, okay, and dismiss it. We need validation. People their experiences need to be validated. Their experiences need to be heard. Their experiences need to be understood and taken seriously. Just because it's not happening to you does not mean it's not happening. And just because it's not in your backyard doesn't mean that it shouldn't affect you in some way. You should have a feeling for all of humanity, the human race. That's the only race there is. I remember when people used to say that. I didn't understand that until I got educated in understanding that race is a human construct that we are playing with right now. And that the only race that truly, really does exist is the human race. We all have ethnic backgrounds. Yes, exactly. We all have ethnic backgrounds. We all come from some place. We come from mom, and mom came from from a specific land, and that land is our indigenous heritage, and those are our ethnicities. But at the end of the day, we all want the same basic human needs and rights to live life. Yes, to live life with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah.
That's what we want, and to be able to practice whatever our spirit guides us to, whatever our spirituality is, whatever our religion is. We should be able to practice those things in the safety of our community. Which those things should be embraced. Another thing my husband and I did We sat down and we got all the Bibles. We got the New King James Bible. We got the Torah. We got the Jehovah's Witness Bible. We got the Quran. And we sat down and we read these books. And we read through, and I said, my God, they're literally saying the same thing. There's so many things that are saying the same thing, but you're saying a babbling brook and the other one's saying a rushing water, but we're still talking about water.
Yeah.
But because we have fear, we don't open each other's books. We don't read each other's knowledge. We don't see where the other person is coming from because we're afraid of being converted. I mean, have you ever read a magazine and just all of a sudden did all the things the magazine told you to do? No. You know, you ain't never, nobody's ever just picked up some information and just converted their life right then and there. And if they have that, that's their journey as well. But don't go into the conversation with the assumption that someone is trying to convert you. They might just be trying to share what their path is, share what their life is, what their experience is, and what that brought them to their enlightenment. Your path is not necessarily my path, but doesn't mean we can't walk together.
Exactly. Or sit together.
Or sit together. Exactly. Yeah.
I love that. You know, there's a lot of stuff that is connected to religion, and people either like religion, don't like religion, have a lukewarm relationship with it. And after experiencing different churches and so forth, I came to the conclusion, and my background also includes the 12 steps of AA and the Big Book and a number of other things. And it's a spiritual situation.
Yeah.
Spirit
Absolutely.
is something that if you have kind of a fuzzy sort of a relationship with the word, and by that I mean you're not so clear on what that means, because it has a number of different meanings. But the idea of the Spirit, the letter of the law, the spirit of the law, we have a spirit within us. We have an energy, if you will. But I came to the conclusion that we're all connected in a metaphysical way, if you want to use a word that people will probably need to look up. You know, or if you want to look at it from a more religious perspective, God connected us in a variety of ways. But you know, sometimes we are not very good at adjusting the tuner or the volume or the tone controls and figuring out what we need to be listening to at any given point in time. You know, sometimes we need to change the channel. Sometimes we need to just shut the darn thing off.
I agree with you. I do. I agree with you because we're all on our different journeys as far as spirituality and religion. See, in my mind, I was raised Catholic. My family was raised Catholic, but as an adult, I decided I'm going to be I'm going to be Christian, and I'm going to go to church. And I did that with my family, with my husband, my kids, and then I started. This is my opinion. Then I started to think. I pray every night. I pray for my children when I'm driving. I pray when I drop them off. I pray when they sleep. I pray. I'm constantly just praying over my kids, my family, my siblings, my parents, my nephews, my niece. Okay, everybody, even my fur babies. Okay, and that's just who I am. But I believe that like I'm more of a spiritual person as far as that goes than a religious person. A part of me just wants to believe that, and I could be wrong here. I don't want to be judged, but a part of me feels like religion is man-made. It's just something that to keep the masses fearful. I think you contain masses by being fearful. If you keep them fearful, then you're containing masses. So for me, spirituality is very important. I do believe in God. I believe um, um, there's power in prayer, and but and my children are pretty similar like me, so I think spirituality is important, and that's kind of where I'm at. So I'm not sure what people think of that, but that's where
I mean,
am.
at the end of the day, it doesn't matter
Yeah,
because
because that's why
you're
I have
not
a
wrong.
conversation.
Religion actually absolutely is man-made, and our spirit is creation-made.
And I feel like that's
You
why a
know,
lot of the Bible they all kind of replicate and say the same thing in different language all
absolutely,
over
because
the world.
man, on every one of those books is an editor,
Someone wrote it.
and on every one of those books is an editor. There are simply versions of each of these Bibles. Hell, Trump has his own Bible right now. Did you guys know that Trump has his own Bible? Yeah, you know, versions of what this looks like, and it is up to us to decide and decipher and educate ourselves on what the truth is, and then let our spirits guide us to where we need to be. They all work hand in hand, mind, body, and spirit. That's the absolute trinity in my spirit. You know, when you connect those three dots together, you are divinely ordered and you are walking in your divine path, and then you see people for who they actually are and not what they show on the outside. Our skin colors are not our weapons. It's the intent of our hearts that make it whether we create war or peace. What you look like doesn't matter. um, People, the intention of their hearts, and that's in every race. Us assuming that one race is bad over the other. Every race has negative and positive. Here we go again. You know, every race has its negatives and every race has its positives. There's no one over the other. Plain and simple is, it doesn't matter what you look like on the outside, but everything matters is what is on the inside and the intentions of your hearts. And what comes out of your mouth is what shows us what your heart intends. So when you have true intentions of bringing people together, it'll show from the words that you speak out of your mouth. And when you don't have those intentions, it'll show with the words that you speak out of your mouth then too. And so we have to get to a place where we hear what a person says and we believe what they have to say out of their mouth, and the intention of their heart, because you can hear the intent of the heart. When I speak to you, you can hear the intent of my heart. I wish you no harm. I have no harm in my heart towards humanity. I bring good tiding and love. And sometimes I might raise my voice out of frustration, but that's my righteous indignation and that's my right. It doesn't mean I want to harm you. Doesn't mean that I wish ill intent on you. But this life is not easy and it's frustrating at times, but it's okay. We're gonna navigate through this, and learning to navigate through this through conversation, through coming together, through working together, is what's gonna pull us all together as a community and as a country.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's probably, that's, I guess, important to explain, that like we're here to help others understand what our motivations are, what our passions are, why we're here, and just kind of in hopes that we could have a good conversation without being bogged down by like divisive rhetoric. Like
Right.
that's not the point of it. The point is to come together as a community and basically we share the same principles. I think it sounds like we're on the same page
Make me a
as
channel
far as
of your peace.
I love that. I love that.
you know, we're pretty much here for the same reason.
Yes, we are.
So I'm actually excited about this because I don't know how long it's been since I've actually sat across the table from somebody and just had a conversation that's been weighing so heavy,
Yes.
you know, everything, because I basically take all this information in and it's so heavy, and
Yes, it is.
I don't want to talk to my kids about it because like
It's
you don't want to
heavy.
put fear in them, but
And that was my intent,
kind of
was
carry
to
it.
release the heavy, because everybody's walking around
releasing
heavy.
the
Yes,
Yeah.
everybody's walking around heavy,
Yeah.
and through Facebook and text messages, you know, you get lost in tone, or
Yes,
you don't know a person's
absolutely.
tone. It's easy to get easily offended or,
Like, I
or
wanna see your
misunderstand.
face.
Yes, I
wanna
want to see
talk
the
to you in
emotion and
person.
see if what you're saying. So that's why I said, you know, let's come out to the park and let's
Right.
let's have this discussion. The reason why I wanted to do
Beautiful
it at
weather.
night was because I wanted to light up the
Yes.
park, because we are the light in the darkness.
Yes.
And we, you know, and whether or not it's a huge mass of us or just a small group of us, the light's going to shine
Yeah.
regardless. And, you know, only light can drive out darkness, only love can drive out hate.
Oh,
And
there are so many songs.
yes,
Yeah.
This little light of mine.
exactly. We
I'm
don't
gonna
let it shine, honey. Let it shine. Yes, yes.
Let us
That'd be
break bread together on our knees.
I love it. I love that song. I sing that song in church.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a
I
good
remember.
song. Yeah.
Well,
When I was
see,
little.
this is the thing. This is the thing. Religion is a vehicle for conveying good information
Mhm.
and hopefully good practices. I found that in AA, which draws from a lot of
Yes.
Christianity and other
It does.
good things,
Mhm.
okay, if we looked at the spirit and we tried to be connected with that, but didn't sweat all the small stuff, because a lot of it is small stuff, and we can get trapped in our head about, oh, I didn't do this and I didn't do that. And I make lists of things to do, And I figure if I can manage to get 3 things done, I'm probably doing okay if I'm getting the most important things done. But what you and I were talking about at one point yesterday was the universal scheduling department. And I've kind of boiled it down to, okay, the universal scheduling department. And if I can just manage to get out of my own way, find a little quiet space, even if it's just staring at the top of my desk and going, okay, what do I need to do next? And just kind of listen for that, okay, here's what I need to do next, and then do it, and then go on and do whatever's next and whatever's next. I find that I'm pretty effective at getting stuff done, and I don't get caught up in a lot of baggage about whether I did or didn't do something. And I've been known to be a perfectionist. I have
My daughter's
Mine too.
yeah.
you know, one of the things that I have learned is that we need to learn how to forgive.
Yeah.
And we need to learn how to forgive ourselves in order to be able to forgive other people. And you can go look at the Bible and what Jesus talked about and tried to communicate to people. And it is about forgiveness, but it's also about forgiving ourselves for our trespasses against ourselves, our bad thoughts, our bad actions, whatever it may be,
And that is accountability.
and releasing all that negative energy in such a way that we can get rid of it. And it's kind of like what you were talking about, getting the help that you needed to be able to restructure your life in the midst of some unexpected chaos that you didn't expect, and that it helped you, and you got out of Section 8.
Yeah.
So,
But with that, with forgiveness and how you're saying taking account, that's accountability. And in order for us to have forgiveness as well, we have to be accountable for what we've done to ourselves, and then those who have hurt us has to be accountable for their actions. But our healing is not contingent on their accountability. We have to heal regardless. Some people may never ever be accountable for their actions, and that's okay.
You might never hear it. I'm sorry.
You might never hear I'm sorry. We may never hear the powers that be ask for forgiveness. We may never hear those things, but regardless of what, we are still in charge of our own destiny and our own healing and our own forgiveness. So regardless of what, yes, we have to forgive, and we have to be accountable for the things that have brought us to this place of hurt.
It makes us who we are now.
Yes, exactly. And I know, why do we have to go to the past? Because the past gives us the pathology that brought us to where we are today. And that's important. So we don't repeat those same habits. We don't repeat the things that hurt us before. And that's why it's very disheartening seeing this aggressive pool of history and knowledge and things like that. We've already experienced this in the past before too. These are all things that are recursive right now. So yeah, accountability and forgiveness is a way to a better future for sure.
and there we go.
Okay, I love that. Yeah, because I don't know where these sprinkles gonna hit next.
Well, we've been online, at least here. I've been online with Yuba-Sutter.live for about an hour and a half, including maybe about 5 minutes of lead-in.
Yeah.
So, I think we've had a good discussion
this has
today.
been beautiful, Ted.
And we've had a lot of lightning.
Yes.
We've laughed.
Yes.
We've laughed.
Yes.
And part of that is, I think, by not getting locked into all of the, I won't use a C word that means stuff of a negative kind.
Yes. Yes.
A 4-letter word.
Yes.
There are some good 4-letter words, but the 4-letter word that we're here to deal with is love.
Yes.
And that's what we're doing out here in the dark in the park. And let me get this picture up. This is a group of we've had 5 people here sitting at a table in Yuba Park in Marysville since I don't know, we got here about 7 o'clock ish, and we started right around 7:45, I think, something like that, and it's now 9:17 on the 19th of September. Yay. 3 months after Juneteenth.
Yep.
If
Oh
you
wow,
want to
yeah.
put it that way.
My birthday's on the 23rd.
Yeah, we'll never forget. So we can't say we
Don't
did
forget.
And in case you just joined us, and we've had a number of people popping in and out. Ralph Michael is now watching us, and he has a High Wheelers logo on his icon there.
Yay.
Hi, Ralph. Where are you watching from? You can put that information in the text if you want to pop in here. So I'm Ted Langdell, and we've been talking with some people that know Megan here. Let me get rid of my name. That's Megan Anderson. Megan's been in the community for quite a while, came from out of town, but is still here because she likes it here.
And my husband, he's born and bred here. You know, this is his home. Like I said, he was born and bred here, and this is home for us. And I could have easily went back to Southern California, but this is home, you know, and I love it here. And like Leticia was sharing earlier, there's a lot of good qualities here. There's good people here. We have good infrastructure here.
Well, and there's also, you know, the thing that I get me back on here while I'm talking. You got a button.
Yes,
Trying to do a one-man band here is real fun. Let me just kind of show you what it is that we're doing here. This is an iPhone, and I have software on here that lets me switch back and forth from camera to camera. I can scroll down here. I can put my name up, except that's Megan's name. So, you know, this is not exactly something that is perfect all the time, and I forgive myself for making mistakes, and hopefully you do too.
Yeah.
So,
how can we not with a voice like that?
I
Ted?
know.
You know, your voice is so soothing.
It is soothing.
Yes.
So, you know, but back to our community here. We have a community that comes together and helps people when they need help, and has tried to come up with mechanisms for helping and supporting people that need it. And there's an awful lot of folks that are out there volunteering um, and being, I think, effective at doing things and learning how to make things better. Life is a learning experience, and if we get all frustrated about perfection or that we don't achieve our own perfection, you know, well, okay, step back, take a little wider shot, and look at what you might want to do a little bit differently and go ahead and implement that infrastructure and try it again. You know, because in the inimitable words of, I will remember her name, Olivia de Havilland. No, was it Olivia de Havilland? I'm trying to go back to Gone with the Wind.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite movies when I was a kid. Though. Oh my god!
You know, I'm trying to go back to Gone with the Wind, and I swear it is frustrating to not be able to remember things that you know are stuck in there somewhere. But you know, is it the hard drive is too full and slowed down, or the catalog, the database doesn't know exactly where it got put? You know,
that sounds more
or
like
has it lost a few sectors?
I love that. That sounds more like
I don't know. Life is full of, in terms of storytelling. I find there's a lot of analogies that you can make, and it can help people understand. And I think that's what I find engaging and interesting is trying to get to know people, getting to know you, getting to know all about you. Now, can we remember the next sentence?
No. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. That's where I'm at.
That's the only thing that there's chance to live. What the world needs now is love, sweet love, sweet love.
Oh, yay!
And you have been watching Light the Park with Love from the park, Yuba Park, a historic park in Marysville, California, on East 10th Street at Yuba and Ramirez. And Simpson Lane, and we thank you for joining us here. I'm Ted Langdell, and we've been joined by several people who also know Megan here, Megan Anderson, who is the organizer of this little soiree in the southwestern corner of East Marysville, or Shimpville. And it's just been fun. And I hope that you join us again when we decide to do this again, and we'll let you know. Because I think this has been one of those things that we would do. And the next time we do this, bring a friend, bring your phone. We'll light up the park. We'll try to do this before it gets really, really cold.
Yeah.
It's I don't know what the
It's
temperature
beautiful
is
right now.
but it's been a beautiful night just to sit here in shirt sleeves and do that.
And she brought bring mosquito spray.
Bring the what?
The mosquito spray.
Oh, bring some mosquito spray.
Emma saved my life. They like me. Well, and you guys can follow me on my Instagram. My name is Megan Anderson. And you can follow me at YouTube for my podcast, Conversations with One Dope Queen. I'm also on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. So you can find a lot of my content there. I go out into the community and do live on the scenes and all this great stuff. And my show will resume back in January with Stevie at the Institute of Rock. Like, there's so many wonderful things. Institute of Rock, Habitat for Humanity, just all these different programs. And I would really, really want to encourage the community, get out into your community and advocate and talk to your neighbors and volunteer. Every Friday at 12 o'clock, Brian would be extras at 15th Street and 14th Street Park, feeding the homeless. Say Love is constantly doing things. I would tap into their Facebook page. There's all kinds of giveaways. Randy Mitchell is doing things. These are all community leaders in the community that are business owners that own businesses. Jim King with Rolling Stone Pizza, he's always doing stuff in the community. Go into these spaces and volunteer. Go into these, when you see stuff on Facebook and it's advertising about different programs, go out there. If it's a cultural event, anything like that, anything that might be out of your norm, go find out what it is, but fearlessly, because we don't need to be afraid of each other. We don't need to be afraid of each other. I don't walk in fear, and I give thanks for that.
Be not afraid.
This man is like,
for I am always with you.
That's right, honey. I love that.
Come follow me.
Yes.
And I will give you rest.
Oh, honey. I love Ted. We love Ted.
Yes. I just met you.
Yes.
I seem to have accumulated a lot of stuff. If you looked at my house, you'd go, oh my God. But, I don't know if it's wisdom or just information or what, but, here we are. Here we sit.
It's a variety, and that's
we just can't shut up.
I know. We got to go. Leticia, your beautiful daughter, Emma, my son, thank you guys for coming out here.
And please don't forget, everybody deserves to be treated with compassion, respect, love, dignity above everything, and just be a kind person. The world needs more kindness.
Yes. Let people in when they're trying to merge on the highway.
That's my final thought.
Oh, gosh. Oh, hey, I want to thank all the people who are being kind when you are southbound B Street approaching my street.
Yeah, where are we at exactly?
And you're looking for a hole, and you're in the left lane, and you're trying to make that right onto my street.
Yes.
And I know that Caltrans is going to do something to make 2 lanes make a left turn there, but they haven't gotten there yet.
No. But let people in, darn it.
Yes.
Be kind, no matter what.
Yes, be kind on these roads. I see so many people just deliberately not let somebody in. I was like, my goodness, just let them in.
Well, if you look at the back end of my Mountaineer, I made the mistake a couple of Septembers ago of basically, there's a hole, and I got into the hole in front of a guy who was towing a boat with a Jeep Wrangler that had a steel bumper and winch and stuff on the front of the Jeep.
Oh no.
Okay, so I get in and I look up and I notice that the car in front of me has stopped. and I stopped with enough room to avoid a collision. But this gentleman behind me had seemed to accelerate when he was stopped at the light at 10th Street, and I, zoop-de-doo, like we sometimes do. Please forgive me. Um, and so he collided with the back end of my car, and it hasn't been the same since.
Oh no.
And the thing is, here's the thing about what happens if you go take that to the shop and find out what it's going to take to fix it. You might find that your insurance company would total the car.
Yeah.
And we've been around with that on a couple of different things.
Oh Lord, that's a whole
anyway.
nother show.
He said, "Look up road etiquette. There's such things."
Yes, folks, and there's the title, a whole nother show.
Oh Lord, I love it.
I don't know. There's a thought that I won't go there because we've had such a good time
I
tonight.
love you so much. Well, at that note, we're gonna close it up then.
Anyway, so be kind to your fine other friends and your fine fellow friends or people that you don't know, because in the inimitable words of Stitch Henderson, I think it was, a duck may be somebody's mother.
Yes.
Do you remember that?
We all have a
Are
mother.
we old enough to remember that song?
No.
Yes.
Oh, be
I
kind
mean,
to
yes.
your fine feathered friends, 'cause a duck may be somebody's mama.
Yep.
And if you're around Dallas Lake,
Oh, yeah.
there are a lot of ducks to take.
I only know Los Coyotes said pew pew pew.
Yes.
That's the song I know.
Yes. This program has been underwritten by the Ellis Lake Duck Wash on the lake and on the web at washandfly.com.
I love it.
Yuba-Sutter Live. It's the truth that comes through.